Hello and good afternoon. My name is Samuel Popola. It's a privilege and pleasure for me to be here on the maiden edition of our Let's Talk show, an initiative of Surulere Archdeaconry Youth. Today I'm going to be talking on the impact of naira devaluation on you, your businesses, and your economic activities. As we may all know, the naira has devaluated uh, persistently for about 34 years now. And in the recent months, we have also had significant deterioration in the value of our local currency. And sometimes when you read this in the news, you wonder what exactly is that supposed to mean for you, for your business. So we're going to present in a highlight form with little explanation this afternoon, this day, on how that affects you. So first of all, I'd like to ask and also answer myself, what is naira devaluation? What does it mean? Naira devaluation simply means an erosion or depletion in the value of the naira benchmark against a benchmark currency, usually US dollar. As you know, over 90% of our federally generated revenues are derived from crude oil sales, making it a dollar fixed transaction. And as such, movements in naira against that benchmark currency dollar impacts the cost of anything that has to do with imported petroleum product, and also affect the price at which we sell, and it also affects the whole economic activity. You can also say that devaluation means the adverse movement of the naira against the dollar, as we have said before. What are some of the key reasons why naira value moves south, that is, move in the adverse direction? One of it is, as I said before, usually due to the adverse movement in crude oil prices. When crude oil prices fall at the international market, the impact is that how much the federal government will receive in revenue reduces for the same amount of the same quantity of crude oil sold. Another is the reduction in the production quantity of crude oil. As you are aware, sometimes we have OPEC cuts on our production. Sometimes we also have activities of militants and different disruptions at the mining E&P section that makes crude oil output very low. As a result, it's just like your business. If the pricing of your item of trade reduces and you sustain just at the same volume, you're going to have a reduction in the total revenue. And also, if the total volume you are able to sell for whatever reason declines, that is also going to impact your total turnover. All right, so let me move on to what exactly does it mean for you? How does that impact you? It impacts you first in the area of cost. And what do I mean by this? Most of Nigeria enjoys a lot of foreign inputs, both in consumables, in construction, in interior decorations, in different items of trade. And we have this luxury lifestyle. And what that means is that each time we have to generate more naira to be able to procure the same value of trade items. And that means if you bought it at the exchange rate of 306.5 at the beginning of the year, and the exchange rate has moved to 360 and then further to 380, what that means is that you have to generate much more naira to buy the same value of product denominated in the US dollar. So for those who import, for whatever reason, for business reasons, for personal reasons, you're going to see an escalation in the cost. Another thing you will see is that for some businesses, the item they produce requires them to use petroleum products, like those who produce jelly, those who produce non-organic skincare products, those who produce packaging materials, including for pharmaceutical packaging materials, what you see is that immediately there is a crash. What you see is that, yes, cost will go down, and then people will be able to, but when there is an adverse movement, the opposite is the result. That means that the good experience of your business or the bad experience that you have in business can be as a result of movements in naira value. Another is that some products rely on either imported inputs or imported finished goods. For instance, you know that our pharmaceutical sector has a higher portion of locally consumed goods coming from abroad. And what that means is that you have to procure these items in US dollar or whatever the functional currency of your trading partner is. Another is FMCG. For instance, those who are in the business of either manufacturing or retailing of fast-moving consumer goods, e.g. noodles, Indomie, you have different pasta. And what that does is that, you know, most of the import requirement, the input requirements are sourced foreign. For instance, you have wheat, which is majorly foreign sourced. And as a result, once the price of wheat increases because of the adverse movements in naira, what you're going to have is that the price of this product will increase. I mean, the cost price of this product will increase, but sometimes it does not immediately translate to a proportionate increase in the selling price, for the obvious reason that there's tight competition in some of these industries. And as a result, what you have is that your cost base has increased, but you're not able to increase your selling price or your margin at the same pace. And what you have is declining profitability. So that can affect the level of your profitability. And I need to add this, that currency devaluation is a systemic problem that not one single individual activity or effort can stop, but there are things that you can do to lessen the impact of this on your individual lives and business. Another thing I will mention is that the impact is also in terms of smuggling or substandard products or contraband products into the country. And why is that so? People have negotiations with trade partners outside Nigeria, and they are able to bring in goods, avoiding necessary fees, taxes, and levies. And that helps them to sell at cheaper prices, appeal to the larger populace, but then you have the influx of substandard products into the country. And how exactly are we going to be able to address this on an individual level and on a corporate basis and as a nation? Like I said earlier, the decision to determine how the currency is devalued or what impact it has on the economy is a macroeconomic decision. And that means that not individuals can directly influence this. National policies are set. Policies are set at the apex level by central bank and different agencies of the government to ensure that the currency either remains within the band that they intend for based on their calculations, economic calculations. Some factors that could help you weather the storm during the time of devaluation of the naira is first to have some spending pattern adjustments or lifestyle adjustments. And what do I mean by that? You may have to consider local substitutes, locally manufactured substitutes for the foreign inputs that you require. For instance, in building and construction materials, you may have to switch to alternatives available. For other items of trade also, you have some substitutes. And what does this do? What it does is that when there is an increase in demand locally, and there is also incentive, as we have seen in recent months by the federal government through the CBN and other agencies of the government, the incentives help local players in different sectors of the economy to increase their production by by availing them of incentives in terms of loans, in terms of grants and funds, and different support, technical support too. So you need to see how you need to make personal lifestyle adjustments in terms of your spending. Otherwise, you're going to see drain in your finances. Secondly, is that you may have to consider putting your money, your invested money, not just in naira assets or naira investments, but also in foreign assets or foreign currency investments. There are different ways to go about this, which is not the scope of this talk, but one of it is that you can invest indirectly through euro or dollar funds, dollar investment funds, and this help you to have some earnings coming in foreign currency. And when that is translated, it does two things. It reduces your demand for foreign currency, as you have foreign currency already at hand, and it also increases the total naira cash that you have. What that means is that you are able to exchange at a higher rate for one single dollar. Also, we also need to see how an individual contribution or group contribution can lead to greater national outputs. What do I mean by this? The federal government has made some attempts to reduce the rate at which the naira is falling, and by doing this, they have done a number of they have implemented a number of these policies decisions, including restricting forex access to certain items of trade, and also locking or having a stricter control at the land borders of the nation. And what that does is that it creates immediate opportunity for players in the local market. For instance, if there is a ban of chicken imports or a restriction on accessing forex to import chicken, what that does immediately is that it puts pressure on the local players to produce more. And the more you produce, the more earnings you gain. And it is also important to note that, yes, at individual levels, we can play our part, but it's important to have a specific strategy to scale up your business. And why this is important is that exportable goods only follow large scale. And why is this so? If you have just a handful of items to sell, you're not likely to make it to the international market to trade. So you're going to have sufficient for local consumption, and then you're going to need to have that excess that could be sold out, or however you have your route to the international market. What that does is that it reduces our demand for the importation of these items, and rather we sell and earn foreign currency. And when that happens, there is lesser pressure at the aggregate level. You have lesser pressure on dollar demand. And when that happens also, it is the better for all of us. So what I'm saying in essence is that actions of individual business owners to ensure that their businesses garner meaningful scale will help at the aggregate level, at the national level, what is the direction of our foreign currency transactions. Also, I want to state that it is also important to explore some of the ongoing intervention by the government, and to align our focus as business owners, to align our focuses to areas where there is positive policy direction from the government. For instance, like I mentioned, in terms of agriculture, inputs, importation of agricultural inputs, in terms of increasing focus on gas, the usage of LNG and CNG, liquefied natural gas, and compressed natural gas. This already shows us the policy direction of the government, and that means that if you're able to explore this, we mitigate the need to always depend absolutely on fuels. And what that also does is that it increases the local output for the use of gas. And who knows, maybe tomorrow you may be exporting. When you start small and you gradually scale up in line of in terms of the volumes, in terms of the diversified product base that you have, and you're able to scale up to the extent that you're able to sell internationally and earn for Nigeria, not just for yourself, some relaxation in foreign currency demand. Thank you very much. I believe that this is a very impactful section, even though it is small, but it is important that you take deliberate steps to implement some of these as they apply to you. Definitely, you have different applications for different people participating in different business segments. But it is important that you identify which area of opportunity catches your attention and for which you have capability. And that will help you to not only have a subsistent business, as most medium and micro scale businesses have, but you also be able to gradually gain scale. You can avail yourself of funds, grant funding, loans, and different concessionary facilities that are offered by the federal government, as this will help you to scale up. It's also important that small businesses that are like-minded create formidable partnerships. And what that means is that you, especially when you are able to create partnership across the value chain in the particular industry that you are in. Let me give an instance. If you are a producer, if you play in producing of cassava, and cassava today is also an export commodity, although in lower quantity. So if you grow cassava, but you don't transport cassava to destination, you outsource this to other businesses, and you also do not process cassava for whatever form, either flour or gari, or whatever form it is required by the consumers. You can have formidable partnerships, having legal backing and clearly spelled out, that helps you to have stable and steady supply chain. That means from the person supplying you the seed, to the people who work for you, to the people who offtake this product, and the people who transport it to the off-takers, and also the people who process these products. You can actually create synergies or partnerships that will be to your advantage, and you can reduce the overall cost of doing business, and eventually what you have is increased scale. And when you grow scale, you are able to have thoughts about selling at the international market. It is true that it is interesting and sweet to earn in dollars, because dollar is relatively stable, much relatively stable compared to the naira. I really believe that you've learned one or two things, even though it's such a short session, but I believe that you're going to implement these, and we're going to have a more stabilized currency in Nigeria. Thank you very much. I am very grateful to the leaders of Surulere Archdeaconry Youth who have deemed it fit to invite me to have this talk with you. You are definitely going to have more interesting sections coming in the days and months to come. Thank you very much. Please like, please share, please show your friends, and let's all make a stable economy and better lives for ourselves. Thank you very much.